Hey guys, Gary over at Stripwell. Just wanted to show you another project that we're going to be using QCS on. This is a beautiful rosewood antique chair, really nice carvings, really nice turned legs. All the joinery is all pinned, and I just want to show you we're gonna strip this with QCS and just show you how it can work on an antique, because again, a lot of our early adopters do a lot with mid-century modern furniture and Scandinavian furniture, but it also is perfect for the antique restorer out there trying to do a nice clean job on an antique restoration. So here we go. Okay, so the first way you can approach this is you can take some 4O steel wool. I have a little cup down here, some 4O steel wool, dipping it into the QCS. That's just dirty because of the cup. And you can actually apply it by hand and almost do like if you were using something like a solvent or like a denatured alcohol or a mineral spirit slash paint thinner, something like that, or a lacquer thinner, acetone. You could go like that, and this will give you the ability to sort of just get it on there, a nice light coating. You can kind of get into the details and without getting it super saturated, which is important if you're trying to avoid getting into the joints too much and you're trying to sort of just control it a little bit more. So that's one way you could do it. You can just apply it with this or a sponge. Even a brush could work. I like a pad more than anything. You also see that I'm using no gloves, which is safe for your skin. The other option is to spray it on. And you can just sort of mist all the surfaces. This will give you a little bit more of a heavy coverage. And this will enable you to sort of move a little faster. Depends on what you're trying to do. So I'm going to show you sort of a conservation or preservation sort of way of using QCS. And then also I'll show you how to use it to remove the finish. So I'm just going to mist the wood, get a nice even coat, get in all the turnings and everything else, and we'll let that sit for a little bit. Now, if you're going for more of a preservation and a cleaning, which is really a nice feature about QCS, is before it has a lot of time to really dig in and start to attack the finish heavily, where you're going to have to sort of remove it all, you can kind of go after it and clean up the grimy areas. And this will take a little bit of elbow grease, not much. You're really just sort of lightly scrubbing the wood, and you're just trying to take off that top layer of grime and dirt just to expose the wood again. So you don't, it's not buried under, up here is a good example. You can see just the grime. And I just work on that. Now you can see the rosewood is starting to show up nicer now because I'm getting under that grime. And my plan is, if I was to do more of a conservation on this, or preservation, would be to clean it, preserve as much of the detail as possible, and then just recoat with a light coat to preserve what's there without getting into sanding and getting all into the the steps that kind of remove some of the character of an antique. So my goal would be with this would be to go in here, clean out everything really nice, get all the grime, all the buildup, all the old loose finish that's sort of just gotten caked on there. And then once it's really dried and good, you can see here it's getting kind of sticky, get that off, then you can clean it and recoat it with like a shellac, a French polish, something like that. All right, guys, I'm just taking a few minutes. I haven't been off camera very long. Just cleaning this up, going in here with some steel wool. If you have a toothbrush, you could go in there. The idea is if you're doing more of a conservation where you want to leave sort of this character, you don't mind that it doesn't look perfect. You want it to have an antique look. So you're just trying to get the grime and the buildup off, and that's what's nice about QCS is it just gives you time to really work it. So you can see like here on this, let's see if I can zoom in there. Right here, there's like just this buildup of finish. So you may need to take all the finish off, but if you do it really clean and you take time and wash it really good, it will avoid needing to be super sanded later. You might be able to do a very light scuff sanding just to smooth things out a little bit. There's no water in QCS, so it doesn't really raise the grain very much, but it enables you to really preserve a lot of the character and move on to the finishing. I just want to show you in here, you'll start to see the reaction going on right in there, here. You'll just see it crazing up this old finish. And what you want to do now is just take your steel wool and you just gently scrub these areas, and it starts to remove. Let's see if I could show you really quick here. It just starts to clean up this spot here. I'm going to go down here and show you on this area. All that finish is now coming off. It's hard to tell right now because I haven't dried it off or anything, but your goal is to kind of keep working around the piece if you're trying to preserve it, if you're trying to do some conservation. So this enables you, sort of similar to acetone or something else, you can kind of wash the piece slowly. But the problem with acetone is it flashes off really quick. Paint thinner is not really that aggressive, so this kind of gives you a way to get the grime off, but also have flexibility with time and move it around. Guys, one of the big pluses too, just for those of you who have maybe not seen other videos or just don't know, is QCS is non-toxic, has no carcinogens. So pretty much, I've been stripping with my bare hands, and I actually use QCS after I'm done to clean my hands up if I have any the stain or any of the paint that I'm stripping, anything like that. I actually use the QCS to clean my hands up. We always recommend using gloves just to be cautious because everyone's skin is different, but it is very safe. It's non-flammable, so you'll see on the bench here, there's a lot of runoff from the legs, which, side note, if you are able to recapture that somehow, like if I was stripping this in a little plastic tray or something like that, you could reuse that runoff if you can keep it mildly clean. Even if it gets dirty from the finish you're stripping, it's still okay. You could reuse it for scrubbing. But yeah, and it's also biodegradable, so that's awesome. So non-flammable, non-toxic, biodegradable. Alright, so all I've done is taken a little cheap brush here, and I've cut the bristles shorter, and now I'm just going to go in here and just sort of scrub. That makes them a little stiffer, which is helpful in these tight spots. Just to kind of, a wire brush, like a brass wire brush, could work in this situation, but with antique I just want to avoid scarring the wood, so I want something, really any stiff nylon bristle brush or anything like that. That's the other nice thing, is that QCS won't destroy, something like a plastic brush for the most part. It does react with PVC a little bit, but other than that, it's pretty gentle on most plastics. So I'm going to go in here and just clean out all the nooks and crannies and get this carving all cleaned up. Alright, there it is, stripped. What I did was I realized I had just been using a really dead piece of 4/0 steel wool, so that's why it was sort of it wasn't quite abrasive enough. So I switched over to a slightly coarser piece, and that took it right off. I just needed to kind of grab it and pull it off with the QCS, so it came out really nice and clean now. And again, it retains the kind of the antique charm of it, just the little imperfections and the color. All of that's still there. So the more time you spend on washing and cleaning a piece like this, the more you can preserve the original look. And then when you go to recoat it, if you can French polish, then you can do that. If you have to just kind of put on shellac, just sort of by brush or by rag or something like that, that works too. But you can just recoat it and really bring it back to life without losing all of its character that you normally would if you went more aggressive with a restoration. Alright, so there's the back. I could take a little bit more time. Like there's some more buildup in some of the details. It's always hard to clean carvings in general, like you can see right here. There's some, but this comes off very easily. And so with a little brush and some more QCS, that would actually come out really well. So take a little more time there, clean that up more. But now I'm going to move to the legs. And as you can see, they've been crazing up, so they've been soaking for a while. So now I'm just going to take a towel and I'm going to wipe those down and see how they come out without any steel wool or anything. Just sort of give them a good scrub with my hand like this, and you can see that the finish is sort of just rolling off. I'll do that off camera and come back really quick, but you can just see it's kind of rolling off and just clumping up. All right, so this is what it took off of just that top portion, this area right here of this turned leg. And you can see if I go in close, let's see if I can get it to, there is still some finish there. And so again, you have two approaches. You can either go at it with an abrasive. You can take some 4-0 steel wool, scrub it, you know, and try to force it off a little bit like that. Or you can just kind of reapply some QCS, let it sit, and then just kind of take it off a little bit at a time. But ultimately, you can get it nice and clean like this. This is really pretty up here. You get the whole chair looking nice and clean, and avoid a lot of excess sanding to disturb the piece as much as possible. Because with an antique restoration, you really want to try to keep the piece as original as possible, to preserve that look and the history in the piece. So there you go, QCS.